Welcome everybody to the 2021 ESO review and the 2022 ESO Christmas wish list. I'll be your host, Mistick, and I hope you enjoy what I got planned for you. Stay tuned. The new chapter of Blackwood takes us to a city called Leowin. Now, everything seems great in comparison to most of the chapter expansions. However, it's the same old, same old. The structures look amazing, graphics are awesome, but all I have to do is find the daily brokers, rinse and repeat, do the bosses, do the delves, and that's about it. With such great voice acting, I really wish Zennimax would push the envelope a little bit more. They can really expand on giving the world a more vibrant feeling by just taking elements like this and adding a little bit to it. The problem that's often the question is, why do I need to group in Overland? That's what makes an MMO interaction. Blackwood also introduced us to one of the new features, companions. Companions are pretty easy to call out once you unlock them. They are a great addition to the Elder Scrolls Online. You can customize them, their look, their mount, go off, ride with them, and get into combat, and they'll earn XP as you're fighting. The only thing I don't like about the companions are the limited skills associated with the companions. Getting the gear is one thing, but when I'm trying to customize the character for whatever role I want it to play, there's very limited selection, and I really hope that Zennimax expands on this later down the road. Blackwood looks amazing. It really does have a nostalgia to it if you played Oblivion. The Overland is simply breathtaking. The problem, though, is it feels desolate. I can ride for minutes without bumping into anything to fight. But a zone shouldn't make you feel depressed when you're in it. And that's the only thing I get when I'm in Blackwood. I feel like it's desolate and it's depressing. Another feature we got this year was the armory system. And I cannot thank Zennimax enough for implementing this, especially for console players. What the armory system allows us to do is really have more options in how we play the game. We can go from a DPS to a tank, from a tank to a healer, or we can have multiple builds for doing trials, dungeons, or overland. There's no limitation to how you build with the armory system. Yes, PC players do have the dressing room. However, it does not save morphs if you're going to switch roles from a DPS to a healer, or to from a DPS to a tank. This feature is a game-winning aspect for Elder Scrolls Online. The only problem that you have with the armory system is it doesn't save Mundus stones. So depending on which role you're going to play, you're going to have to switch out your Mundus accordingly. Another surprise we got this year was stat adjustments between light and medium armor. Passives now can give us the capability of scaling our builds more effectively between light and medium armor. Also, Fighters Guild passives like Slayer can also adjust the modifier for our weapon and spell damage. Not quite perfect, but also giving us the capability of putting together hybrid builds. Later in the video, I'll explain one of my wish list items that can actually go ahead and expand on this further. Say what you will about PvP, but for me as a player, PvP is a necessity when it comes to MMO selection, and Elder Scrolls Online has PvP. It's fast-paced, it's interactive, it's a blast when it works. One of the problems that Elder Scrolls repeatedly has are two things: incentives and performance. Without performance, players will become frustrated. If players become frustrated, they look for other products to play. No matter how good your PvP combat is, performance can hinder their capabilities. Thus, a lot of players will always walk away eventually if performance isn't the forefront. Another thing is incentives. As it stands, we have three forms of PvP. We have Cyrodiil, we have Battlegrounds, and we have Sewers. But the question of it is, what gear is there to obtain in any of those that makes it worth the reward? That's where players are having a problem. A lot of build configurations cater to either crafting or dungeon diving. There's very little PvP sets for players to chase after, thus making the incentive almost nil. If players don't have something to fight for, they become bored and that gameplay becomes stagnant. There's ways to address this. Of course, you've got to get performance under control. So I agree with Rich when he says their focus is performance, and it has to be. But there's ways to incentivize PvP without adding new gameplay features until you get performance under control. And there's my review for the 2021 Elder Scrolls Online gameplay. Overall, I think it was a rough start to a year for Zennimax, but they definitely picked it up along the way. It really makes me hopeful for what's coming. So yeah, they did rekindle hope for me, and I'm really looking forward to seeing what they've got planned. If they can get performance under control, this game could definitely be the best of the best. It's not too late. It just needs a little polish to it. Now stay tuned. We're doing the wish list next.
Now they descend into forgotten reaches of Tamriel to scheme and unlock power. And my home, in the dark reaches of Oblivion, is under threat from the Prince of Destruction. Disaster is coming. And we need all the help we can get.
One of the things I think that Zennimax misses the most with every chapter, especially like Blackwood, is lore. We need more of it. There is so many Elder Scrolls fans that are in love with the lore. And given the timeline, you can drop more Easter eggs like you did with Vardenfell. Feed the players that which they're eagerly awaiting. And that's how everything ties together in the Elder Scrolls universe. It's a feature that should not be overlooked. Another thing I would really like to see Zennimax improve upon is scaling. With the new features to light and medium armor, being able to take different pieces of armor types to get the stats that you desire, that is a great improvement to Elder Scrolls. It really allows players to customize their build more effectively. But the problem of it is, Fighters Guild scales spell and weapon damage. but we don't have anything that scales max stats in the same essence. My suggestion is take the Mages Guild and allow that to also scale max stamina like it does the max magicka. This would give players a lot more control of how their damage is derived. And proc sets only scale off of spell and weapon damage is a hindrance to build capabilities. One of the features we take granted for every day is the looking for feature. Whether it be for Battlegrounds or Dungeon Finder, we use that frequently. However, the problem that we have in zones are nodes. This really limits players' interactivity when they're trying to do things in a zone. They really need to make a looking for group for each zone. This allows players to group up and have that MMO experience, that multiplayer experience. And I really think that if they were to implement it, a lot of players would embrace that. One of the problems been plaguing Elder Scrolls in PvP is incentives. Yes, we can go to the Golden every weekend and purchase items with our AP, or Alliance points. That's not the only place, though, that we can go to spend our Alliance points. We can also go to elite merchants that sells loot boxes that gives us a chance to acquire certain gear that we may want for our PvP build. Also, we can go to a merchant in each respectful alliance base and purchase loot boxes to have a chance to loot overland sets. Now this is interesting because we don't have to farm the overland to acquire that gear. We can spend a certain amount of alliance points to acquire that gear and collect it in our sticker book. My idea is for Zennimax revenue for PvPers to strictly PvP and buy the DLCs without actually having to do the dungeons. How? You would take zones like Vardenfeld, but make it Blackwood, elsewhere, so on and so forth. And then with each DLC comes out, put a merchant there that players can spend their AP to buy sets or the chance to loot sets from the coordinating dungeons. Last, but definitely not least, is performance. I agree with Rich. They need to work on performance to make PvP better. It's pointless to put out any additional content without performance. It should be the first thing they wake up and try to do daily. Not literally, but try to improve with this title. The only thing that's holding this title back in PvP is literally incentives and performance. But if you get performance under control, then you can go ahead and expand upon the PvP. Things that I've listed would help Zennimax retain customers, improve the gameplay, and also keep a lot of players' hopes alive. With that being said, I want to thank you guys. It has been an honor to come back to Elder Scrolls Online by your request, and I hope that this video does justice. As always, I'm Mistick Raven. This is Mistick's MMOs. Have a nice day, y'all.